My name is Olatunji Shoti Miri. I'm a performing artist and, television radio presenter and a university lecturer, Unilag. Keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Kenny Black, Africa's finest music comedian, and you're watching Souq News. If you're not watching Souq News, I pity you, but keep watching Souq News.
Hello everyone, my name is Timmy Dakolo and you're watching Souq News. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Wisdom Oluwaseun Okoko, co-founder Orbit Africa Properties. I'm live at Souq News. Guys, keep watching Souq News for everything that concerns business, economy, politics, news. Souq News is your station.
Thank you. Well, you already know my name is Steve Omojiafor, and my middle name is Banite. That was the name that my parents gave me at birth, because it was like they regarded themselves as not Lagosians. It is Providence that brought them into Lagos, and I then happened to be born here at Odo Street in Obalende. And in fact, we didn't go to Mercy Hospital then. There was a little home along Odo Street run by a very experienced nurse, Mama Nurse, that's what So I was born in that little place and grew up from there. Like I said, my middle name is Bamidele. My parents probably said, well, we have had you here, but this is not home. As at that time, you will go home with us. No problem. So I started off at St. Matthias Catholic Primary School on Louis Street. And I was in St. Matthias from 1953 till 1960, when we finished with our primary school leaving certificate. Then from there, an extra year at Holy Cross School. We did that extra, they call it prep class. Prepare yourself to go to the secondary school. And from Holy Cross, for 1 year, I moved on to St. Gregory's College, Lagos. Now, growing up in Lagos was one of the best things that happened to us then. Life was good, life was easy, life was safe, life was like everything that a young man could aspire to. We went to school with scholars bus, which was virtually provided for free. When scholars bus was not available, it was fun walking from Obalende, firstly to St. Matthias, and then from there to St. Gregory's College. Life was good, life was safe. You could go out any time of the day. You could play from house to house. Parents knew each other very well. And so, in fact, when you were late somewhere on your street or in your neighborhood, you could sleep there because they would send a message to your home that Dele is here, so don't bother. The next morning you wake up, have your bath, have breakfast, return to your home. There was this community life that we all lived. Parents could discipline children of their friends, okay? Not like these days, you dare not touch any other child. The parents will come and, do a battle with you that I didn't send my child to you to be flogged or to be beaten. So it was a very beautiful life. So went to St. Matthias, went to St. Gregory's College, and then from there to University of Lagos. We were brothers keepers. School was fun. Teachers were all there just to teach you. There was no messing around. There weren't any bad habits that people could be developing along the line, you know. So that was my life growing up. So we were all walking through Banite to Rafiu to Campus Square to Tokunbo, Okekpopo, you know. So we were children of the neighborhood. We were children of the area. So I'm never ashamed to say I'm an area boy in Rafiu, you know. Today it has become a taboo, but then we were proud of our origin. We were proud of our place of birth, and we were proud growing up in the neighborhood. So today, still believe me, I get up on some Fridays, I just go to Rafiu, I stay with the guys. Okay, not all of us were fortunate enough to go through the system. Okay, so those who, in quote, we left behind, we still, a lot of the time, we still talk to them, we still relate to them when there are problems that we could fix. You know, we help out. Because, I mean, it wasn't their fortune to be able to have gone. I know some dropped out, you know, on their own volition. But generally, we all like the idea of going to school, but some couldn't make it. But we still relate to them. We are still friends. So I'm not surprised I leave Holy Cross Cathedral and I just hear people call me my names. And I know these people are those who knew me when we were growing up. Let me start by saying that even at secondary school, I read a lot. I was interested in the newspapers. And a lot of the time, I read something, there was always this beautiful column of letters to the editor. So anything that I read that I liked, I sit down, 2-3 paragraphs letter to the editor to compliment what they've done, to criticize what I didn't like, and these things were published. And I liked it, okay? You open the papers and you just see, contributed by Steve Omojiafor, or some will call me Bamidele Omojiafor. So that kept me getting interested in the media. So when I left secondary school, after higher school, I would just pay a visit to Daily Times, which was in Tinubu, Kakawa Street. I just pay a visit there, you know, and I got talking to people. They would take me to the newsroom, you know. They would just show me how newspapers are produced and all that. That ignited my interest. So when I left higher school, mass communication was what occurred to me. I know that my uncle, you are not doing accountancy, you are not doing engineering, you're not doing medicine, you want to go and become a newspaper boy. I said, yes, this is where my interests lie. So I got admitted to Lagos University and studied mass communication there. And while I was there, I developed a column in Lagos Weekend of those days. Every Friday I was contributing. And I was writing under the name of Akinbodilon. Now, Akinbodilon itself is a name that I picked up in a drama group. Because we had a drama group that we produced all kinds of little plays here and there at J.K. Randu Hall, you know. So one of the roles I played was Akinbodilon. So when I started writing my columns in Daily Times and Lagos Weekend, I just used that pen name, Akinbodilon. You know. So I did the program and I started writing for Daily Times campus news, things that happened during elections, battle between the male and female, problems with the tutors and everything. So it became a very regular program. In fact, I inherited the program from late Ladipo Ogusawo, who was my boss in the Daily Times. So I did that program for 3 years, became very popular. It got to a point, Vice Chancellor would call me to say, there's a little thing going on in the university. I hope you have covered it for your paper. And I said, I'm not even employed there. I'm just writing, So I left University of Lagos, had all kinds of jobs that one could do, but I headed for Daily Times because I just had developed a path for myself, and that is journalism. Okay, so while in the Daily Times, worked with the Lagos Weekend, went to Daily Times proper and worked there. I was a columnist, I was a sub-editor, and also a reporter. Combined everything. So that was where my interest grew and grew, and it was very painful when I had to leave the Daily Times organization. And what did I go to? Linters, advertising. When I walked into Linters, and I said to the chairman managing director, and I said, I want a job. I said, just like that? I said, yes, sir. Then it was easy to communicate with people. We're not too many, so they listen to you. So he said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm a sub-editor at the Daily Times. So why are you coming to advertising? I want to broaden my space. I want to broaden my experiences. It took about 3 months, and I got a job in Linters. And I remember Alhaji Babatunde Joseph, when I was going to leave, said, look, Steve, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Linters. I said, well, we do the same thing. They package programs commercially. Here we do our papers and we go sell, So I said, okay, sir, let me just go gather some experience at Linters. And Linters and Daily Times were just 5 minutes walk from each other. And I said, sir, if the editor needs me for anything, trust me, I will spend my time and money, do write-ups for Daily Times. So I was like working in advertising and still writing for the Daily Times, So that was my life. From Linters, we set up our own company known as Roosevelt Advertising Limited. And Roosevelt, was formed by 3 partners, two friends of mine. 3 of us were at Lagos University at the same mass comm department. So we came out, and I left Daily Times to set up Roosevelt. One of my partners left Cadbury to join us, and Akodusi left Admark, another advertising company. So 3 of us came together and we set up Roosevelt. We call ourselves second generation agencies because before then we were the Ogilvy, the Linters, Grant Advertising, and so on. So we set up a small shop in Surulere, and it grew beyond our own imaginations. From Roosevelt, we set up a second line agency called McCann, STB McCann. Got affiliated to a company in America, McCann Erickson. So that was how it all went on. Now, I didn't do banking, and I didn't work as a banker. The interesting story is that one day, while still at Roosevelt, STB McCann then. I got a phone call from somebody I've never met before. And I picked up the call. He said, my name is ABC, blah, blah, blah. And he said, the managing director of Zenith Bank wants to talk to me. So I said, no, there's no problem. I know I'm not owing any bank and all that. He said, no. He just wants to talk to you. So I picked up, he picked up the line and said, my name is this. And I said, my name is this. He said, can we meet? So I said, no problem. He said, no. So we agreed to meet. And it got to be that he wanted to appoint a couple of directors for the bank before they went public. And what I said to him was, I'm not a banker. I didn't study finance or economics. He said, no. What I want from you is your name and your integrity. Nothing beyond that. So that was the beginning of the story. So I got onto the board, and I learned a lot. You know, I'm somebody who doesn't get to a place and I want to show them what I know or what I don't know. You could make a fool of yourself sometimes. So for me, like the first 6 months or 1 year was just go to the meeting, listen to them, know where they are coming from, know what the focus is, and know what the expectations are. So I picked it up from there, and gradually I got into the system. Of course, naturally, buy some books on banking, finance, just read, you know, so at least you know how the banks are operating. I've always been a customer of the banks in a very small scale, and all I did was follow the banking trend. You know, there weren't too many banks in Nigeria at that point in time, but I followed through, and that was it. I got onto the board, and somewhere along the line, there was a policy of the central bank. The managing director had to step aside, so to say. The chairman had overspent some time regulated by the CBN, and they approached me and said, you are going to become, at the board, you're going to become the chairman of the board. I said, me? And they said, yes. I've met a lot of people here, so why me anyway? To cut the short story long, I was eventually made the chairman of Zenith Bank. And I was there, I was chairman for 4 years. And then CBN rules changed again. The MD came back, and I was very happy to hand over the bank to him. And I said I was going to leave when he came back. He said no. Statutorily, as he had 2 more years on the board, that no, you got to stay and live out your time. And then, so I did. And after 12 years, I eventually bowed out from the bank and then returned full-time to my own job, which I've been known for, and that is the media world. Okay, so I get invited for interviews, for programs here and there. Like you said, it's always a good thing. You have something you have learned over the years, you want to impact it on the younger ones, who are coming. I mean, my first son, for instance, went through the media scene, now in advertising, and I go on encouraging them. I retired from active day-to-day operations about almost 15 years ago, but I'm still keeping pace with what is going on around me. Yeah, I mean, the society itself is very dynamic. There's been a lot of changes over time. I mean, I look back to during my own time in the newspaper world, and I can count just about 4 or 5 newspapers then, okay? Morning Post, Daily Times, The Express, and a couple of others. So we knew each other, we knew the practice, we exchanged news information, we exchanged, I mean, if you had a news that was breaking, you know, you want to call up colleagues from other papers, we all go there as a team, right? Because stories will be written from different angles, no matter what you do, you know. So newspaper was great, and it was so good. In the morning, your byline was there, and people were trying to reach you, you know, about the quality. Quality was good. Quality was good, and there wasn't too much of freelancing in those days in the newspaper world. So you were either fully employed or you didn't belong. Same thing for radio. I mean, for instance, television I didn't do much about. While in journalism and in newspaper world, I was writing for radio, okay? Interesting stories. I had, there was a name to this program, the Oddities, Odd World. So we were picking up things that were odd. People that didn't imagine what they were. It's not something that was very common. So we went on doing that. So newspapers were growing, radio was growing, television was growing, and out-of-home media was also growing. And talk about the dynamism of the system. Suddenly, people were now going out of buying a newspaper every day to sit down and hold it in front of you, trying to read from beginning, from cover to cover. Other forms of communication came on. With the advent of mobile phones, things began to change. In our own time, it was the phone you put on the desk and you were dialing it, to, you know. A lot of the time, you could never get across, okay? Suddenly, mobile phone came onto the scene. And news coverage was transformed completely from what it used to be, okay? So now, people on their phone could reach out, you could touch Germany, touch America, touch all parts of Europe, just sitting down in your office to gather information, gather news, what is new, you know? And then, of course, we now had more television stations, no longer NTA alone, okay? Now, with the news stations, things were just expanding. Things were broadening up, and news gathering became something new altogether, and everybody was heading for a new phenomenon altogether. So today, you don't have to be a big guy to be able to tell your stories. Little children tell their stories, females tell their stories, you know. So really we have moved from the days of waiting to read your newspaper to gather your news. Now, with your phone on your palm, you could do wonders all over. But of course, standard also, in some areas, standard will improve. In some areas, standards will go down. Because the multiplicity of media sources create problems. The kind of quality control we used to have in those days was disappearing. And people can build up stories without even being there to know if it is factual or not. So of course, the turmoil that we are going through in the media space now is better imagined. But I still believe that for those who have structures like the one you are building up now, will enable people to know that you got to check, you got to cross-check, okay? I mean, we have laws that control what we say, what you do, what you publish. Of course, they are not as rigid as they should be, you know. So in terms of content these days, you have to ensure that you check your facts before you can believe, you know, what they are saying or make any sense out of them. So really it has become all commerce affair. And this is not going to be the end. The explosion is going to continue. Maybe in a few years to come, we're going to have a stronger media control than what we have now. I mean, people are building content. You go on YouTube, you go on all kinds of media, and you are getting all kinds. What you hear from your WhatsApp is different from what you're going to get in your YouTube. You go to Instagram. People are selling themselves with all kinds of stories. So really, for me, we've gone through the era of sanity in the media, and I hate to say, we've gone into the era where anything you can think of, say it, write it, do it, and for the consumers, it's like you either take it or you leave it. But it's good that we can now reach out much, much widely. I mean, thanks to our mobile news. I mean, you talk to people in any village in Nigeria, and suddenly one thing that didn't grab us so early was you open up your Google map, and you don't have to stop people on the street anymore. Show me where I'm going. Just, you know, go to the app, and it leads you to the front of the house you are going to. So we have a lot of improvements, and I think it's going to be improving some more. All we just need to watch is to ensure that we remain truthful and we remain factual, you know, so that we don't mislead people on the street, you know, particularly people in the rural areas. You know, one day you just see everybody running helter-skelter because somebody posted a news that is not correct. So we need to watch that and put some more control. But I like the growth in the media space. When I got into the banking sector, I saw myself more as a customer than a board member. I haven't been a journalist, which I still am. I wrote so much about what consumers or customers were going through in the banks. It was the period of tally number, you know. Remember this commercial, you know, where somebody carried a mat. I said, what are you carrying a mat in the bank? I said, I want to lay down here because I know before I get my money, I will have slept once or twice and woken up, you know. So I was very consumer oriented. When I got into the banking system, a couple of times, my board members will ask me, are you on the board or you are still a customer? I say, first and foremost, I want to remain a customer of the bank. Who will come into the bank and get properly served? Who will come into the bank and feel like human? Who will come into the bank feel important? Because it's your money in the bank. Even if it's only 1,000 naira, it's your money. You need to be treated with some dignity and respect. And that was my mentality that I took into the board of the bank. I said, listen, I am not too happy the way customers are treated. It is their money, no matter how small. Treat them with respect, treat them with dignity. So they started listening to me after some time. And I said, look, customer service is extremely important. In those good old days, you will hardly hear about customer service in any of the major banks. It wasn't there. But gradually, people started being important. It was more of retail. I mean, yeah, you can deal with the big corporate organizations, but at the same time, it is these poor students, poor market women, you know, people who are out there on the street laboring hard to bring their money. So that was one area I was extremely happy that we developed that area of retail banking and being able to make the consumer the king. Okay? So that was part of it. Then, of course, I said to the bank, I said to them, fine, it is very good to make huge profits, okay? But at the same time, the customers that come in here and from their money we make our profits, let us also consider the kind of interest they get for their deposits. Today, when the banks take your money to deposit, okay? No. When you go to the bank and say, I need assistance, I need a loan, and you tell them, give them all the facts and figures, okay? They will tell you, you are going to pay interest of 20%, 23%, blah, 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 blah. When they take your money to put in the bank, they give you an interest of 2%, 3%, 4%. And I just couldn't live with it. I mean, if you are giving me a loan, you're charging me so high. When I put my money there, it's also a loan to you. Why will you leave me with 2 or 3%? And I thought the system wasn't quite right. It was too skewed towards the banks than the customers. So I met a lot of pushbacks, you know, in that area. And I must still say, it's an area I think government should still be interested in. I mean, in the civilized world, interest rate hovers between 3%, 5%. In Nigeria, it goes as far as, I mean, maybe in Africa, not just Nigeria. You know, I know we are developing, but at the same time, let's develop together, you know, for both those that we are taking in their money and for those we are giving money to. So there'll be some level of balance. So I really worked hard in that area. I may not have fully succeeded. You know, then I think finally, one other thing that I think I was able to do at the bank is our staff also requires some upliftment. And suddenly, banks started, you know, employing senior people. They started moving people up. They look more at the system now than just ownership. So generally, of course, more banks have come into the scene. A lot of new banks. So people can spread out and salaries started going up for bankers and all that. But of course, requirements were also extremely high. So generally, I think today we have a much stronger banking system, and we are still growing. Now, the bank for a long time have been let loose to do whatever they want to do at the disadvantage of customers, like I started off with. Now, our leaders, and when I say leaders, let me point on just our presidents. The system was such that our presidents could do anything they like with the banks.
I'm okay.
My name is Raymond Bola Brown.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you're on to Souq News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it, because this is Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souq News. Here's the Souq News, who had the courage to transcend a locked-off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure.